China wants to beat the US in every industry, including the cannabis industry. So it's flooding the US with cheap cannabis and criminal networks. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. This episode is sponsored by Surfshark. Whenever you go online, especially if you're searching for words like marijuana, you should be using a VPN like Surfshark to protect your identity. So the Chinese Communist Party wants to be number one at everything. Number one military, number one economy, number one cannabis producer? Most people probably wouldn't think China is a big cannabis producer, given that the country is very strict about drugs. Chinese authorities crack down on cannabis inside China, even when Chinese citizens use cannabis in other countries. But the cannabis market in the West is growing. Pun intended. According to Grand View Research, in 2021, the cannabis market globally was valued at $13 billion. The US market is nearly $11 billion of that. The industry is expected to grow at an exponential rate because of cannabis legalization. According to Leafly Holdings, cannabis is America's fifth most valued crop. And the Chinese regime wants a piece of the action.
With weed being legalized or decriminalized in more places than ever, cannabis is becoming the world's newest cash crop, even in places where it's extremely illegal.
In China, using and growing marijuana are strictly illegal, but here in Yunnan Zhanyi, a town in South China, around me there are hundreds of acres of legal cannabis.
The Chinese Communist Party allows this by making exceptions. For example, they're letting people grow hemp that contains little or no THC, the chemical compound that makes you high. Hemp is useful for making things like paper and textiles. China already produces over half of the world's industrial hemp supply. They're also allowing people to grow cannabis with CBD, a chemical people use to treat pain and anxiety without getting high. CBD is illegal in China. Last year, China banned its use in cosmetics, and it looks like Hong Kong is set to ban it this year as well. But that doesn't mean companies can't make money selling Chinese-made CBD products in America.
Summer Sun leads the Chinese branch of CIIX, an American financial firm that analyzes companies in the US for Chinese investors. When they looked at the CBD boom, they decided to open a company in China.
我们美国销售的含有 CBD 的精油，另外有小熊软糖。
It's still illegal inside China to grow cannabis with high THC content. But that doesn't matter, because the Chinese Communist Party is letting its triads and drug cartels in the US handle that part. And it's a huge problem. More after the break. Welcome back. China is competing with the US in producing marijuana, specifically the kind that gets you high. They're growing it illegally inside the United States. See, even in states where marijuana can be purchased legally, the illegal market still exists. State governments try to regulate marijuana growers with product testing, pesticide rules, and state taxes. So sometimes it's just cheaper to grow and sell it illegally. Many of these illegal marijuana operations are tied to Chinese drug trafficking organizations. According to the book Willful Blindness, Chinese criminal cartels in the West operate with direct permission from top Communist Party officials. Selling drugs is part of the party's high-level drug warfare strategy against the United States, and they've been busy. For example, back in 2010, Colorado officials busted a Chinese restaurant owner who was money laundering pot proceeds. He was lending money to people who were buying real estate and using the houses to grow marijuana. That case grew and grew until 2019, when officials busted a Chinese black market grow operation in connection to a huge criminal enterprise called Asian Pride. It was the biggest bust in the state's law enforcement history. They arrested dozens of people and seized more than 4,000 pounds of marijuana. And that's just a drop in the bucket. According to the Drug Enforcement Agency's Denver office, Chinese groups have gained a footing across Colorado, rivaling Cuban traffickers from South Florida who have long specialized in marijuana grow houses. One DEA official says there are literally thousands of Chinese-operated illegal marijuana grow sites throughout Colorado. These kinds of operations launder money through social media apps, QR codes, and money brokers in China. They also drive up land prices and divert water from nearby homes and farms, which is not great if you're in a state with severe drought. It's also a huge problem for Native Americans. In the Navajo Nation, many Chinese cannabis growers leased plot after plot of farmland under the guise of economic development through hemp. But the massive empire has been accused of growing illegal marijuana and sowing violence. One local says some of the Chinese carry guns, and one time a couple of them got into a knife fight. Thanks to this Chinese takeover of Navajo land and water, many residents see the cannabis farms as a threat to their sacred corn tradition. The cannabis operations there are also bypassing local regulations. Mobile homes have been reported on farmlands without home site leases, proper sewage, and at times without going through the proper probate process for the land. This has led to a lot of protests against hemp, guest workers, and farm owners who had sublet their land.
A movement is growing within the Navajo Nation over recent hemp farms popping up on their land in Shiprock, all the way up to Farmington. Sky News 13 shows dozens of greenhouses along the river, even right across the street from the high school.
One state that's facing a huge surge in Chinese black market marijuana is Oklahoma. After Oklahoma legalized medical marijuana, criminal enterprises have moved there to take advantage of its loose regulations. A raid last year south of Oklahoma City uncovered not just illegal marijuana, but also human smuggling, with about 30 Chinese workers who may have been trafficked into the U.S. The Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics says Oklahoma is now the #1 black market supplier of illegal marijuana in the country. Fixing this issue won't be easy. The U.S. has a difficult time tracking down these illegal marijuana grows and ghost ownership. According to the Midwest Center for Investigative Reporting, government records of who owns what is completely mismatched. There are omissions and discrepancies, with publicly reported foreign-owned or controlled property not showing up or appearing under different names. Reconciling federal, state, and county records on land ownership is all but impossible. Many say that this is driven by Chinese individuals wanting to invest money without regard for laws and regulations. But if Chinese criminal organizations are involved, then this is also part of the Chinese Communist Party's drug warfare against the U.S. This episode is sponsored by Surfshark. When you go online, everything you do is being tracked and logged by the websites you visit and your internet service provider, and in many cases by your government, especially authoritarian governments. Citizens of nearly every country are being monitored constantly. That's why no matter where you live, you should always be keeping your internet activity private, using a VPN like Surfshark. Surfshark secures your data with top-of-the-line uncrackable encryption. And on top of that, Surfshark intentionally does not keep logs of what you do. In fact, one cool thing it does is keep a server network in the British Virgin Islands, where local laws allow Surfshark to not keep user data logs. So if you haven't yet, check out Surfshark. With just one Surfshark account, you can connect as many devices as you want. So try it out now. Surfshark has a special deal that includes 83% off a 2-year plan, plus 3 extra months for free. You can protect yourself for just $2.21 a month. So go to surfshark.com/uncensored and use the code uncensored to secure this deal. The link is in the description down below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching China Uncensored.